Hey y'all, it's Uncle B and Fee back at it again on another Tuesday, 8 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. Now, if you are coming back, welcome. We are so happy to have you back here again. Thank you for coming back to join us for another show. If you're brand new, thank you so much for joining us for the first time on this here podcast. We discuss dating and relationship topics in the 20th century. Because we're trying to just figure out what the hell is going on. You see it, I see it, Uncle B sees it. We're all living and experiencing it. So we're just trying to figure out what's going on and explore this all together.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
We're going to get into today's topic, which is drum roll.
Why can't we all just get along? Jesus H. Christ. Women and men, why can't we? What's going on? What's going on? That's the question.
Why don't men and women seem to like each other? Or do they? Stay tuned to find out. All right, y'all. Thank you for sticking by us. Now, before we get into today's topic, what we got to do, Uncle B?
If you have not been to YouTube before ever in your life, you have to hit that subscribe button. You have to hit that notification bell so you can get some more information. And please, it's nothing. Just go hit that like button. Just go ahead and hit the like button. That's what we have to do so we can be around to have fun with you.
And give us some comments. Leave us some comments, please.
Go ahead.
Let us know what you think about today's topic. Let us know if you agree, disagree, whatever the case is. Just let us know something, please. Thank you.
There we go.
So let's get into today's show.
Let's go.
We're going to start off with Uncle B. Now, listen. Me and Uncle B go way back like a Big Mac, okay? And every time we get into these conversations about men and women, he always consistently maintains this idea that it is just women who seem to hate men. I beg to differ.
Me? Not me. Yeah. Okay. Me.
Explain, please.
All right. So this is pretty deep. It's pretty deep. It's going to go above some people's heads. Some people going to get it. So let's go ahead and do it. So basically, it comes down. Yeah, let's do it. It comes down to there's been a training process for capitalism that women and men should be separate. And so the training process is that for women to take on a man's role and be a provider. And, that means go get money. Got you. That's capitalism. If we have the men and the women go and get the money, we have to spend less money on the men. We can spread the money. That's why wages have been stagnant. But the results are ending up in our relationships. So we end up in a situation where for a lot of women, they have been taught that men are bad, but be like men. So you end up in situations where in relationships, women want to have relationships with men, but think men are bad.
Before you go any further, please help me understand, why do women think that you guys are bad?
Because it's been repeated over and over again. I call it silent misandry. And for those people who don't know, misogyny is hatred of, and women. Gynecologist. Misandry is hatred of men. So there's a lot of silent misandry. When I say silent misandry, I mean that there are a lot of sayings that are popular that have been known for years where you're basically saying men are bad, and it's so common that women feel extremely comfortable saying it to men.
But how are women saying that men are bad? That's what I'm saying. Like, what are women saying or doing that is giving the impression that we just think that you're all bad?
Okay. I don't need no man. That's one of the most popular ones. And, it's sort of like flip it. If you say a man says to a woman, I don't need no woman, there's a bunch of reactions because I've said that to women. And it's like, oh, that means you're gay or something like that. Was like, well, when a woman says, I don't need no man, no one says you're a lesbian.
Wait a minute. How did you say, I don't need no woman? Like, how'd that even come up for you to say?
Exactly. It's like, how did it even come up for a woman to say, I don't need no man? It's so common that You don't. That's.
I asked you a question and you start talking about something exactly and go off into something else. How did I want to know your story? Because I ain't never heard no man say, "I don't need no woman."
I mean, because that's unusual.
Yeah, you're right.
It's highly unusual because I'm damn near the only man I've ever heard say that, because I kept hearing women say, "I don't need no man." Is so popular in the culture to the point that I was like, okay, this is questionable, because that doesn't make any sense. If you're saying, both of us are human, men and women are human. So it's like, if you don't need the other sex of your same species, then basically the species dies out. So when you're saying something like that, that's dire. That's something that's dangerous.
Let me speak to what you're saying specifically.
Okay,
I get what you're saying, though. It sounds odd. I actually have a couple of guy friends that say that too, but they don't say it in that way. They'll just say, like, they have a hard time dating women because they're so independent, like they're so highly independent, that they have a hard time finding a woman who is okay with them being the way that they are, because women, they feel, or at least the women that they've met, they say, have a tendency to need them to, like, the women want to build the man, kind of build a bear, you know what I mean? And the guy is kind of like, I'm coming to you whole. This is how I am. Like, I got one friend, he's like, I can cook better than most women. I put myself together as far as like style. He's like, I don't need no woman to style me. So, he says all these things. And I got another friend, he's like, I've basically been on my own since 18. He's like in his 50s now. He's like, I've been on my own since I was 18. I've never had a woman take care of me. He's like, so why would I start now? And both of them have said to me in different ways that they have had a hard time relating to women because they are like that. And I'm like, it just kind of blows my mind that that's not a good thing. Like, what woman is not interested in that? But to your point about it being weird, to say, I don't need no man, or I don't need no woman, really, to say I don't need no woman. The reason why that sounds crazy is because, historically, women have had to rely on the man, for shelter and protection, all the stuff, like you say, all the time anyway. The woman took care of the household, but she wasn't bringing in any income, so she wasn't able to pay bills and do all this other stuff. So, of course, that's how that all came about. But it's just weird to hear guys say, I don't need no woman, because
I mean, it's weird.
Like you said, you don't hear it.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because it's one is dangerous. I mean, for a woman to say that to a man is dangerous. For a man to say it to a woman is more dangerous, because it's like, if we're not there to defend you, then there we go. It is what it is. But it's in terms of what we're talking about right now, when you have women who are trained. When I say trained, once I go back again to the capitalist thought process, it's like, instead of you depending on a man, I need for you to depend on my business to give you money. And so it's not just the business itself, it's the culture. So I'm going to keep saying things, I'm putting things in your ear as a woman. It's like, hey, men are bad. Men don't do shit. Men are going to leave you. Men are going to do all these different things that end up being, if you keep hearing it, it's like, yo, that's dangerous in terms of like, I don't need a man. I can just do it on my own. I can raise my children on my own. I can get my own house. I can do this. I can do that. And it's like, we're not designed for that. And so it's become so embedded into the culture that talking to reasonable women, they will say that weird things, such as, I should be able to hit a man 5 times before he hits me back. I should be able to. That's
crazy.
Yeah. And the vast majority of women agree with that's crazy.
Hold up.
But that happens.
No, I can't. What do you mean the vast majority? Who is the vast majority? Because I ain't never even heard that said before.
Really?
Yes, that a woman should be able to hit a man 5 times before he hits her once. Like, who makes calculations for hitting?
Okay, skip the calculation. Let's go to the baseline. Can a man hit a woman?
Well, I get where you're going with that.
Yeah, exactly.
If
That's
a man,
what.
if a woman, it definitely is going to be he going straight to jail. If a woman hits, it's kind of like
Exactly. And so, how many times has this been taken advantage of by women? Because we have two leaders in a household. Before it was the man is the leader in the household. Now we have the man could be. Hold up. We have. I had to go black on y'all. The man. We're way black. The man is the leader in the household, and then you have the law is now the leader in the household. And so you have men who are like, hey, you know what? I'm running things, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no. As a woman, I can bypass you. I can just say that you hit me. I've heard this several times. I can say you hit your children. I can say you touched your children in the wrong way. And, you know, it's like the law is big brother to women. And they're now the leader in your household.
The bottom line of what you're saying really just sounds like it's not about the particular thing, because I don't know any women personally that challenge men to a fist fight. Now, I know some young girls are doing that now, but I'm saying in general, this is not something I just hear on a daily basis. Like, oh yeah, I hit my man, girl.
You know what? Because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, because it's like, I've heard this.
Women would tell another woman that if like, let's say if I'm in a girlfriend conversation, like, girl, they would tell me that they did that. I don't know any women who just readily blurt out, yeah, girl, I socked his ass.
Oh, but they will verbally. It's not a physical attack, because that doesn't make any sense. It's like, yeah, I say this all the time. Every time I walk into a room full of women, I'm the strongest person in the room. That's just the truth. So if I get into a fight with any woman in that room, I could win. That's just the truth. 99 times out of 99 times. As many times as it's like, that feels bad, it's like, no, that's my superpower. Women's superpower is to be able to say, hey, calm down. And she could calm me down. That's the whole thing. That's the difference between men and women. If you keep saying that men and women are equal, men and women should, if you got the same amount of money, you're the same, you end up with all these different imbalances that don't make any sense, because now women are saying, hey, I can come at you verbally. I can keep saying things to you and you can't say anything back. So you see this, you know, it used to be segmented into cultures where it's like, you know, in cultures where women need men, there's less quote unquote lip. When there's cultures where women make the same amount as money as men, right, it's way more like, I don't need you, so I can go ahead and pop off lip at you, and what are you going to do?
Here's my theory about that. My theory is that anytime society takes like a turn, an extreme turn, it's almost like there's a balancing act that people are struggling for. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say like for example, a lot of people go through this. Like, a lot of times people, when they're raised by their mom, right? Let's say in a single parent household, somebody is raised by their mom. Or, let's just say mom and dad, a person is raised. And let's just say one or both of the parents exhibit some type of extreme behavior with them. Most of the time, either one or two things is going to happen when that child gets grown and have their own children. Either they're going to say, when I have kids, I'm going to do exactly, they may not they might not consciously say it, but subconsciously they may do the same exact things that their parent did. Or they may consciously say, I'm going to do the opposite if it was something that they didn't approve of, right? So when I say this, my theory is that a lot of times when people say they're going to do the opposite consciously, they go so far to the extreme of opposite that before it can be balanced out and be at a nice level, it's almost like they have to go way to the other side, and then they see what comes as a result of being on the other side. Yeah, so and my theory of society is that that's what's happening right now. Women are now for the first time getting power, and they're going extreme.
I mean, we're talking about we're now 4 generations deep when I say 4 generations, 4 decades deep into women's level of power, so that it's like women.
That's not true.
Well, hold up. Let me. When I say that, I'm saying in terms of communications. Women's superpower is communications. What has happened over the past 4 decades? Information highway. We have exceeded levels of communications that weren't there ever before. So now when a woman speaks, she's being heard, and she's being heard by the woman's superpower. I'm being heard by women and being heard by men. If a man is speaking, he's being heard by other men. Other women, it takes a little while. So we've had 4 decades of women saying men are bad, men are bad, men are bad, men are bad.
I assume that you're talking about like the Oprah generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oprah generation. I
would say the 80s is probably the first decade where women started to become really vocal.
Yeah. And so you end up with, you end up with one-sided conversations. And it's like, well, for men, it was like, well, we don't speak as much, we don't verbalize as much. And so in the information age, and you had capitalism once again stepping in saying, hey, women spend more money than men, so we're going to advertise to women. The shows, it went from, I forgot the white guy's name, and then it was Oprah. Phil something.
Phil Donahue.
Phil Donahue. And it was like, he was like the last of the males spokes guys, I guess we would say. And then it was like all women after that. And it was like, all the way to the point to The View, which you could say things on The View that are vile, that are so evil to men. And it's like you had a whole audience of women. It was
girl.
Yeah, it was like the whole thing of like Lorena Bobbitt cut off her husband's Johnson, and it was like, oh, well, what did he do? It's like, I'm sorry, there's absolutely literally nothing I can do that would allow any other human to say, you know what, it's a good idea for me to cut off your dick. That's evil. And she stayed on TV. And then you mentioned this off the camera. You mentioned it was another person that referred to that on TV, saying that, oh,
the sunset. She
was like, I'm going to grab a knife and you should just cut off his dick. It's like there is no possibility of any man getting on a TV show and saying, you know what, it's a good idea for me to dig out her pussy, cut off her titty. That's evil.
But actually, no, I disagree, because guess what's happening now? And this flips into my perspective on everything. Now, I don't disagree with anything that you're saying, but I'm going to add a separate perspective, because I can always see both sides of the coin. Men, thank you. You helped me to slide into something new. Men are actually, they exhibit the same characteristics as women when it comes to the hatred. What are all the lyrics in the rap music nowadays? What are the lyrics in a lot of the music nowadays? Those lyrics came about not just because a little boy decided one day, I think I'm going to hate women. It's because there was probably some kind of talk or something in his community or household that got him to the point where he felt like it's okay to be public with his hatred and disdain of women. Because look at all of the gangster rap. They start talking about bitches, hoes, fuck you, suck my dick, bitch, and all this other kind of stuff, right?
Exactly.
But then just flocked to that. They ate it up. They loved it. The same way that people love Kevin Samuels, because Kevin Samuels goes in on women. But I'll say this. Let me say this, though. Personally, when I listen to him, I think that he makes a lot of sense, and he makes points that I've even made. So I'm not on the opposing side of Kevin Samuels. However, there are certain things that he says that I can see that he's saying it also with, there's that P.T. Barnum effect where he's saying these things to get sort of this, it's like the fanfare and the wow, and, because he's trying to keep his ratings up. So naturally he's going to say it with a little bit of extra oomph. He's not just going to have
Right. I mean, it makes sense.
About it.
But I would say this because we often hear that thought process about gangster rap. Here's the thing about gangster rap: it came from a dysfunctional thought process. They literally say, "I came from the ghetto, came from the hood, came out the mud, came out of blah blah blah, fuck the police, etc., etc., etc." It's like it's dysfunctional. So I'm sorry, how did dysfunctional get to mainstream when mainstream was guided by, let's say, the majority? So we have the majority who's guiding things that can get onto the air, things that can get onto albums, things that sell, that make them money. Does it matter whether or not it affects the society that these people represent? Absolutely not. So it's not like they represent anything at all other than...
I get what you're saying, and I get where you're coming from when you say it. Mm-hmm. However, in order for it to become popular, it also has to have some relatability. True. And where do most people come from? Most of our people. Hold on. They in the part of town.
You said most of our people. Our people weren't buying the records. This is like the same thing that happened with Kung Fu. When all the Asian movies came over and Kung Fu was big back in the 70s and the 80s, it was like all of a sudden every Asian person in America was supposed to know Kung Fu. It was like, no, this is not reality. This is freaking TV and importation of movies and stereotypes. So you have importation, we have development of stereotypes where it's like, oh yeah, well, if you're black, you're supposed to know it. I mean, I've been told this. I think I was like 14, and I was at a summer camp, and this white chick was like, "Oh, we're supposed to come up with a rap for this." Like it was something new, and it was like, "You know how to rap?" Like, what the fuck? No. It took me like 4 years later, then I learned how to rap. But anyway, the point is, was that how am I? This is something that just. It's a stereotype that's put upon you by something that's outside of your culture. So it's like, there were obviously some issues with police. There were obviously some issues with relationships. Somebody was like, hey, let me go ahead and say it in the most bombastic way. And someone's like, oh, wow, that gets a lot of attention. Yeah, it gets a lot of attention, so we can make money off of this.
So I get what you're saying. Things have been perpetuated, and it's negative things that have been perpetuated, and it's not necessarily us that's doing it. Exactly. But we are consuming it, or I should say, and I know what you're talking about with the whole thing, like we're not the ones buying like the albums and stuff like that, but we make things popular.
Yeah.
And the only reason why we would make something popular is because there is some relatability. People have found themselves in these rappers. If you got like, let's put it like this. Back in the 80s, it was more so conscious rap. Before conscious rap even had the label conscious rap, there was conscious rap. Because people just talked about their conditions, but they weren't disrespecting women while they were doing it. But then all of a sudden here you got in the 90s, all of a sudden now there's disrespect, there's thuggery and all this other stuff. And it was money. There's money involved. Yeah, it's definitely something. I mean, I agree with that 100%. Mm-hmm. But the problem that I have is that unfortunately it has impacted our culture. Yes. And it has impacted the way that we relate with one another, because a lot of those kids that were listening to this, they found themselves still, even though this was all fabricated, they still found themselves in that person because they were wild, they were free, like NWA, wild, free, said what they wanted to say, acted a damn fool. And those kids felt that in their soul, but the kids, that were rapping it were saying what they were thinking. And so unfortunately now, that has created a culture where men feel like it's okay and it's cool to disrespect women. And I'm going to talk about even our mutual friend. Well, I can say his name anyway because it doesn't matter. I'm talking about Chris.
Okay.
One time we and Chris were talking, and I remember when he was telling me that he was like, man, Fee, he was just like, he was like, yeah, he was like, how did y'all deal with women? He's talking about, how did y'all deal with these guys like back in the day, talking the way that they were talking? Because he was saying, growing up in Chicago, we would have never dared call a woman a bitch or said anything that was foul like that. But he was like, when we heard the guys on the West Coast doing that, we was like, dang, they cold. Like they could actually just go and say whatever they want to say to these women and they just go for it. And I was like, no, that's not actually what happened. We weren't excited about it. It's just the way that it just kind of exploded. And I think that what happened was, it was something that got hyped up, like you said, and it got perpetuated, and the guys loved it. They ate it up. And the thing is, when you dealing with party music, some good rhythm, whatever, and sounds and all this other stuff, and you playing music in the club, the women are going to get into it too. And the women just be like, oh, he ain't talking about me. When he says, oh, bitch, suck my dick, you nasty bitch. Women are going to naturally say, he's not talking about me. He talking about somebody else. Yeah. So that they can just continue to listen to it and feel guiltless. But that attitude has created a culture that I don't think anybody knew was about to transpire.
Yeah, and we have a situation now where, because of women empowerment, and this has gone so completely so far that it's like the pendulum has swung to a point that it's like, that's the reason why men are like, we have Kevin Samuels, we have and there's several other people, mediocre tutorials, alpha male. We have a bunch of guys who are like, hey, the pendulum has swung too far, because we have, a Cardi B, we have a Mega Stallion, we have, Remy Ma, further back. We have these artists, these female artists, who are taking things too far. There is a level of protection that's needed for women. If you're saying that I am so independent, I can do whatever I want, well, there's a cost to that. It's like, well, yeah, if you're independent from me, I don't have to depend on you, then I don't have to defend you. So if you're being attacked by whoever, well, you said you're independent. My first question, if you're being attacked and I need to defend you, is that, well, what happens to me? Because I have to protect my wife, my mother, my child. And you're saying that you're the random woman being attacked because you're walking down the street wearing whatever you want to. You can wear whatever. It's like,
the unfortunateness, I don't know if that's even a word, but what is unfortunate about all of this is that, and I know we've had this conversation before, where women are or have historically been the ones to train, the young women coming up. Mm-hmm. But I really think that it is important for the men to do some of that work. And when I say that, first of all, fathers automatically off the bat, fathers in the past were involved. Fathers would sit down, like if a girl brought a boy home, he didn't just come home and that was it. The father grilled the hell out of him. Mm-hmm. And then he would be like, okay or no. Mm-hmm. So I think the fact that there are no fathers in the household, that's number one, a terrible thing. But number two, if uncles, I think uncles or older cousins, some other male figures, it would be great if, and of course, we don't have like the answer to life because this is an individual people's households. But if uncles or grandfathers or older cousins or whatever, other male figures in the family were to get with a young girl and give her some kind of knowledge and education, that would help out a lot. Because unfortunately, and I'm gonna tell you, this is what's happening. A lot of women are not even talking to their girls about this stuff. Women have a tendency, and I know that you know this too, because women are more of the nurturing species. Women usually tend to try to stay away from things or topics that are going to be hurtful. It's going to bring pain to their little girl or whatever. So they always talk about things like, oh, look, you look so pretty. You got some new earrings. Oh, look, it matches your shirt. Oh, you're so cute.
But here's the thing. And I'm going to say what you said to me earlier.
Uh-oh.
I understand what you're saying. And I hear you.
You're taking notes. Good for you.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But here's the thing. There's this automatic reaction of like, hey, okay, we need for the men to do something. And the thing is that you can't say, hey, we need for the men to do something while insulting the men and driving the men away. There is, was it 80% of children in the Black community are being raised by their mothers, single family homes, etc. And it's like, if you listen to a lot of the women who say the reasons why they left, whether it's to have children or not, why they got divorced, the reasons are so simplistic, so I would say useless. It's like, you're going to leave a man because you're going to leave your child's father because of this. And I'm not talking about the strange stuff, the weird stuff, the beating up. I'm not talking about the extreme stuff. I'm talking about, well, he didn't like my mother. He didn't blah, blah, blah. He didn't blah, blah, blah. The need for a man has been reduced to such a low level that a man has to have such a high level.
Like, I felt that with the way you were saying it.
Oh yeah, because it's for real. Because it's painful. It's painful for a lot of men, and a lot of men are sitting there like, I don't understand what just happened. I married this woman. We have a child. She says that you don't spend enough time with me. However, you say that you want Gucci bags, you want this, you want that, you want this, you want that. But it's like, how am I going to possibly go to work to get that and spend time with you? Those two things don't match up. When I say there's a training process in order for women to pay attention more to money than to family, it's for real. It's serious. It's like, when I say it's deadly serious, it's like there are women who like, hey, they would continually say, I left my husband because I was young and dumb. You were 28. You ain't young at 28. You had kids, and you're just saying that, oh, well, he's not going to, I'm going to say that he can't see the kids. He's blah, blah, blah. He's deadbeat dad.
I agree with you on that one. And that's something that I really, really, really dislike. I hate the fact that so many women use their children as pawns against the man, because we're talking about a human life. And I feel like that woman is not just, she's disrespecting herself. She's disrespecting the man, but she's also disrespecting her own child. Like, this is a whole human life with its own sets of needs, wants, desires. And you have, like, you're charged with programming that life with information. And because you're mad at this guy because he cheated on you, you don't want him to be a father. And I get the anger that a woman may feel, but that's one thing that I disagree with. And I think that, unfortunately, that's another avenue for why men feel disrespected by women and vice versa. Because sometimes a woman will be in a household and she may think that, you know, she's talking to her girlfriends, and she may not think that or realize that while her children are in their rooms playing, or even if they're out playing it around them.
Oh my God,
they don't realize that they're listening.
Terrible thing. I mean, I've heard this so much, where it's like, yo, can you know your son's in the you're gonna call me and your son's in the car. You're telling me how bad your son is, in terms that it's like, what, you're beating him down in front of a person who's not even there. It keeps happening over and over because
and it subconsciously gets implanted.
Yeah, and it's like, yo, the consequences are dire. It's bad, and it's like, I think what needs to happen. And I'm gonna say this very. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. Say it. Okay. A lot of women are going to just need to check themselves. There isn't like, hey, men need to, because we keep hearing this. It's like men need to do something. It's like, no, men have stayed the same. What has changed is money is coming into the conversation where women are now like, hey, I'd rather depend on the money than depend on the man. And when that happens,
let me clarify what you're saying though, but I'm gonna let you finish. Look, like what's his name, Kanye West. I'm gonna let you finish.
Okay.
When I say
hey, I ain't Taylor Swift. I'll slap you off stage.
Listen, we ain't do nothing.
Right.
But no, what I feel like when I say that men need to do something, for me personally, it's because there is another human life that is completely vulnerable. Now, when it comes to just a household with a man and a woman together, and they having issues, okay, the woman has to take accountability.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing I would say about that. The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. That is not just a saying because it's a saying. That's a saying that's backed up by the society and legally. So I've heard many men who are like, I want to take care of my son. I want to take care of this, but I keep getting hit by her and the legal system. And she is using the legal system against me to the point that it's like, hey, I can't do anything. Are there situations where guys are like going to use that as a cop out? Absolutely. I hate them motherfuckers too. But there are way more women who are way more sophisticated in the legal system. It's like, I'm going to fuck you up and you can't see your children. Fuck you. Have a good day. And, oh, by the way, you need to pay, and why don't you come by and see your child? We're getting these messages of duality of like, I need you, but I don't need you. I use these fingers in succession.
I noticed that. I need you, and I don't need you.
Yeah, and we keep hearing these messages, and it's like, we don't know what to do with this. Because it's like, I can go.
What do we do then, Uncle B? Like, I feel like this is one of those situations that just seems to not have a real solution. But it does. It's good for us to talk about it and get that out, because somebody, maybe hopefully somebody can hear this and think, but like, I don't know. The only way I guess I could see that changing would be like you're saying with the legal system, because I know what you're saying with that, because yes,
it's not what
for women.
To me, it's not the legal system. Legal system is here for money, so they don't care. They don't care. When it comes down to it, right now, what we need is for women to take a step back and look at what you're saying, because there's a consistent saying of things such as, we don't need no man. Men ain't shit. I want to be equal to a man. Blah, 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 blah. To the point that's like, hey, you done walked us down. You done beat us down. And we're now at this point of like, well, you know what? We don't care. And this is the process that's dangerous, because when it comes to a race or a species, when the male doesn't care, everything goes downhill fast. Because when it comes down to it, it's like, hey, we need for you to protect us. You just said I ain't shit. Protect yourself. So we need for the women to step up, because as men, it's like we'll check other men. But right now, when we try to check other women,
I agree. Women do need to keep themselves in check. However, I still stand by, if you have the power to help your family member or your child.
Did you say power? The legal system that took the power. They
took
the power.
Not in every case. I'm saying a family member too. Like if a brother is able to help, like how you see your nephew periodically, or
and this is just we're about to end this show, but I just want to say this. I understand the difference between these two, because I have a father, I have uncles. I'm an uncle, I'm not a father. I understand the difference between my father being there and my uncles being there. It's a huge difference. It's nowhere close to it. So I understand, even for grandfathers, great uncles, mentors. There's nothing like a father. Absolutely nothing like a father. But we've been hearing that, we got the Mother's Day, Father's Day. I'm a father too as a mother. No, you're not. Absolutely not. There's absolutely no way. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to everybody. You're lying to your child. Wrong. I'm gonna leave it there.
I'm like, look, we don't have no answer to this, because this could actually really go on forever. Because you want to end back in black, right? You had to go black again. You was like, and mic drop or and blackout.
Yes, indeed.
No, but it's just unfortunate, because it's like there is really no solid solution, because really the answer, in my opinion, lies within the person. I'm sticking to what I feel, which is, of course, the woman is in the position, she's in the highest position of power, because she's the one that births the child. And yeah, the legal system is going to be in her favor. However, I mean, I feel like it would still be beneficial to children if there were male role models in their life that were, if it's a male role model that has some positivity, that they could still, the child could still benefit from that, even if it's not their father. Because I know a lot of guys that have benefited from male role models that were not their own father. I do know men like that, and I can see how that helped them. Whether
I would say this as a person with a rarity. As in, my father married his high school sweetheart. They're still married to this day. I've literally never heard an argument in my entire life. I had to check with my brother and sister to make sure that this was true. There was a huge difference between.
I'm not saying it's the same. I'm just saying that it still helps.
Well, yeah, I mean, it helps, but it's like, well, helping at 50%. Helping at 50%.
Some men don't want to be there too.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of situations. I just say that, but it's like, we
this will go on forever. We'll
yes, indeed, and it needs to. It needs to.
Part 10.
There we go.
But at least you guys are aware.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're already aware, because if you're listening to this, I'm sure that you already got friends. Maybe you were part of this. And if you're a man, be a role model and a mentor.
Mm-hmm. If you're a woman, can you get along? Can we just get along? Jesus H. Christ.
I mean, I'm not even going to disagree with that. I agree, because a lot of women are very mean. They're mean to each other, and they're mean to men. So it ain't like you guys are the only one getting it. It's just that two women know how to at each other. Whereas with guys, y'all like, ooh.
Yeah, oh yeah. Because the next level is, and that doesn't.
That ain't gonna work. You're gonna be in jail, and yes, the legal system will be against you.
Yes, indeed.
So anyway, what did you guys think about this? Let us know in the comments, please. What did you think about what I said about the role model? What do you think, about Uncle B's comment about? Well, actually, I never disagree with nothing that Uncle B said, but Uncle B seems like you want to disagree with me for whatever reason. I don't know why, but all I'm saying is, look, it's just like the billboard sometimes where they go, if you see something, say something. Like if you see like an empty suitcase or something on the track somewhere, on the metro or something like that. If you see something, say something. You see the girl in the house and she's your niece and she's looking crazy and looking like she's thirsting. Let her know it's not cute, and men just want to have sex with you, and that's it. I mean, women sometimes.
That's a different show. That's a different show.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna end it on this one. Just let us know what you think. Every Tuesday, 8 to 9 Eastern Standard Time is Uncle B and Fee, and we appreciate having you here. And
we out. We done with it. Later.